The smoky blanket billowing across the U.S. and Canada from wildfires in Quebec and Nova Scotia could persist into the weekend. The smoke has caused flight delays, postponement of Major League Baseball games, and numerous outdoor activities in New York City and down the coast. Officials warned residents along the East Coast to stay inside and limit or avoid outdoor activities again Thursday, extending code red air quality alerts in some places for a third straight day. More than 400 fires across Canada have displaced more than 20,000 people, and Canadian officials say this could be the country's worst fire season ever. We're joined now by Gabe Filippelli, the Executive Director of the Environmental Resilience Institute at IUPUI School of Science, for more on the impacts of the wildfires. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
We're seeing this video from the Northeast. It's scary looking. While it's not as extreme in Indiana, much of the state is seeing some impact. Can you explain a little bit why is that?
Yeah, I first got alerted to this Monday afternoon when I came out of a long afternoon meeting to find brown smoky skies right here in Indianapolis. I run an air quality monitoring network in the city of about 30 sensors. So then I immediately went to my computer to see what they were showing. And indeed, they were showing dangerous smoky air. In this case, it was air brought to us from the northeast. That's not typically the direction that wind blows. It usually blows sort of from the southwest to the northeast across Indiana. But what I saw in Indianapolis was mirrored throughout the state. So although we are not nearly as bad as New York City or some of the other East Coast regions, it was at a high enough level to be hazardous even for healthy people.
Do you expect we'll see more and more of these events in the future as the planet warms?
Well, we've already seen basically a natural experiment. So the planet has warmed, and that has been occurring for the last 10, 20 years, at least very clearly occurring. And we're seeing a lot more wildfires coincident with that. And they're not just a greater number. When they burn, they become more intense and more widespread. The number of wildfires and smoke from wildfires has nearly doubled in the last decade or two. That's very consistent with the fact that drier conditions because of climate change will dry out forest litter, making them more effectively more combustible. And it's probably exacerbated a little bit by fire management or rather forest management techniques, where we're not really, in order to really deal with this situation, we actually have to intensively manage forests to reduce the amount of litter.
So what's the long-term effects on air quality? Do you envision the need for masks during the events in the future?
Well, I tell you, we saw the strangest COVID reversal with this event, right? What we saw were people rushing to the subways in New York City, for example, with their N95 masks on. And then as they walk into the subway station and subway trains, they actually take the mask off. Again, because at this point, the COVID risk is low, but the risk of inhaling that smoke is really high. The challenge with the smoke is, it forms these small particulates, and a lot of the smoke actually has really dangerous ingredients in it. So when it goes into the human lungs, it can cause all kinds of lung issues, including strokes and heart attack, as well as asthma attacks. And masks are one way to deal with the impacts. They're not 100% effective. So people are also heeding the warnings to stay indoors and making sure to keep air conditioning or even air purifiers inside rooms on during these events.
All right, Gabe, we have to leave it there. Thank you so much. Appreciate your time.
You bet.